floor, I do need to make an apology to people. There was, in the North Country Now, there was a sound off about how Hopkinton was not being transparent because they didn't have their January meeting put up on the website. I take full responsibility for that. It slipped through the cracks. Wasn't trying to hide anything. It was just, it came right about the time of Christmas, and it just slipped my mind. So that was my fault, not trying to hide anything.
Was that the wind advisory meeting?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, the wind advisory.
Right. Like.
Yeah, because I know. So it was my fault. I did not put it on the have it put on the website. So now I'll open the floor for privilege of the floor. Again, we'll ask that you raise your hand, be recognized, state your name and where you live. Yes.
Kelly Polano. I live in Hopkinton. I just have just a couple of things from like the last meeting that I wanted to bring back up. For the Shadowgate taxes, I believe you were under the impression that their taxes had gone down 40%. If you know, you can go and look at the public taxes, and they've gone down between 6 and 10% between the school and the town. So, you know, I think that's something that probably should be clarified, because 40% is a dramatic amount, and 10% is much less. Another thing was I've had contact with somebody at Northern Adirondack Realty in Chateaugay, and they have confirmed that the real estate by the windmill has gone down in value, as most reasonable people would expect that to happen, but some of us have been told that that isn't going to happen, but it will. Another thing that I wanted to ask is, Alan, you had said that you weren't able to tax the windmills. Now, the town of Hopkinton has opted out. Is that correct?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Out of the 487.
Which
correct.
means that you can tax the windmills. Is that not correct?
No. The 487 is kind of an exemption. That the only way you can tax them is if the IDA steps in. Then you can assess them. But then the IDA is going to file an exemption that overrules our 487. So that means that they would pay whatever they want to pay on them, which they probably won't pay anything. The IDA doesn't want to really step in on it.
Yeah.
That's what's going to happen. In fact, what they've done, and I spoke this past week with about 5 different towns, the pilot is on the turbine. It's not on the land. The landowner normally would have to pay taxes like they do for cell towers, but they don't. The IDA stepped in on the land portion, and now the land portion that the wind turbine sits on doesn't pay taxes. So whenever the IDA steps in, they can overrule anything else, and that's what they'll do. They'll put it down that they're not going to pay. They're not going to pay the tax on it. They'll be exempt. But they don't want to do it on the whole wind turbines. In fact, the wind turbine companies don't want them to step in on it, but if it gets refused, they could.
This doesn't make any sense, because then why would they offer a pilot?
It's like I mentioned before. It's the same thing like as the cell towers. They actually do want to pay something. They don't want to be completely exempt.
So you're saying they do it just out of the goodness out of their heart?
I do.
I just don't buy it.
They do want to pay some taxes, or they do want to pay something to the towns. It's the same thing that they want to pay the people, of course, that are using their land. But they don't want to be completely free, is what they're saying.
I'll keep looking into that one.
Okay.
Okay, one last thing is, I hope you all read a very compelling story that was in the newspaper. I think it was in the Watertown. I can't, was it Vermont? Did I live in Vermont? And
That's this one? The town councilor regrets the High Sheldon wind farm?
yeah.
Yeah.
That's in New York, near Buffalo.
Yeah, it's an excellent, perspective on living right near them. The man's a mile away, and he still has, can't live in his house. So I hope you all pay attention to that. That's all.
Here you go.
Alan, you spoke to Chateaugay, the town, about the taxes, right?
Yes.
Did they give you a figure?
No.
That's not all the story then. Did they give us a figure when we met with them?
Not a figure, they told us 40%.
What I thought, okay. I will call Don, I will again confirm that.
Lori?
Yes,
State
we
your
actually,
name and where
Lori
you-
Witherell from Parrishville. We've actually talked on numerous occasions to people at the IDA, and they said they are not going to step in unless they're asked to. So we have conflicting information
Yeah,
there.
they don't want to step in.
No,
but
they
can.
don't, but we can tax those turbines. Yes, sir, we can.
Well, that'd be great if we can.
Yes, I think you should look into it a little bit more because
Well,
they can be taxed.
I've got the information here on 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different towns that don't tax them, that they get their pilot
Yeah.
payments from. And this is St. Lawrence County. This isn't Chateauguay or Belmont. This is 5 towns in St. Lawrence County.
I
They don't
understand
tax. Yeah.
That's
So-
their choice, though, sir. That's what I'm trying to explain to you. That's their choice.
With the amount of money that they get, probably would be less if they did that.
My question is, why would we tax them when in 5 years they depreciate to a zero value?
5 years? Where did you get that data from? They said
Right
they're
here.
good for 20 years.
That's how long they're good for, but the federal government allows them to depreciate it to 0% in 5 years.
I would like a copy of that.
There's a copy right there.
Thank you.
Mr. Martin?
Right there, I got an asterisk right next to it.
My name's Luke Martin. I'm from the town of Parrishville. I am part of the Concerned Citizens for Rural Preservation Group. And as such, I would like to say this evening that we are interested, the goal of our group is an information group. And we're interested in making people aware of what the facts are concerning this Northridge wind farm. And to the Hopkinton Town Board, I'd like to say that we'd like to be of service to you. And as such, we'd be interested in if you had any direction for us. We'd like to hear that. And if you'd like to talk to me personally, or just by myself, I live over on the Newton Road by at Martin's Sawmill, at the lumberyard. And if you want to reach me by phone, my phone number is 262-8099. We would be happy to hear some pointers from you. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Butterfield?
So if they've got, I'm not sure how many windmills are going in, someone said something like 40?
It's supposed to be 20 in each town, I think. but
Well, there's a
that's-
total of
that's-
40 that's going to
Yeah.
be distributed.
Okay, so on those 20 acres of land, that supposedly each one takes an acre, when they put them in, they ask for an acre of land for that windmill to sit on, right?
They probably sit on it, but they're going to use to get to each tower, maybe 3 or 4 or more too,
Okay,
for their roads to go in.
so if they're sitting on, say 40 windmills, 40 acres of property, who is paying the taxes on that 40 acres of property? Is anybody paying taxes on it?
It's up to the property owner to pay the taxes on the property that they're not using. The property, or the land that they're using supposedly is what the ADA, if they step in, they will give an exemption on that property, so nobody will pay the taxes on it. If they're using 5 acres for each turbine, we'll say for instance, there probably won't be any taxes paid on that 5 acres.
Probably.
But is that counted
Well, I don't
against,
know for sure because
Is it-
I haven't dove into it that much.
is it counted against us?
If the ADA steps into it, then they don't pay.
The IDA has said it, they won't.
No, I know, they don't
We
want to.
them to.
But what I'm saying is it counted against us? If,
Oh, if there's an exemption? Every exemption in the town, no matter what it is, it's a basic star, the enhanced star, aged exemption, veterans exemption, is made up by everybody else. Everybody pays for everybody's exemptions.
then so, having the windmills, what is anybody getting out of it, except for more taxes? If they're, like you say, it's a good exemption, why put up those windmills and have,
Well, if I can assess them, and they're gonna have to pay taxes on them, and they just said that if they're only gonna be good for 5 years and then depreciate to 0, then I'll give them a high assessment right off the bat, so they'll be able to start paying big money. But in 5 years, they're not going to pay anything. But from what I found out right now, the assessments range anywhere from $1.2 to $2 million a piece, which would be quite a bit of money.
Now wait, depreciation is different than assessment.
Oh, I know that.
The
But
federal government
Lo-
allows.
Could you wait until he finishes?
But if they depreciate it in 5 years down to zero, that means they don't pay anything.
That's just on their taxes,
Well, they don't pay zero taxes then.
on their income tax.
Oh, I don't know.
Yeah,
I haven't went into that part.
I'll look for it later, but I just wanted to.
So,
Hey,
again,
yeah, if they get an exemption, everybody else has to pay.
altogether, then what are we getting from it? I mean, all the power goes down to New York City or whatever.
Well,
We can't do anything with the power like with the power dams.
so what you're going to get is if, we'll say for instance, we get 20 turbines and they pay the town of Hopkinton $500,000. That $500,000 goes in towards taxes. That means that comes off of what everybody would have to pay. So if the town is paying, or if the town is collecting $500,000 and you get $500,000 for a pilot, nobody pays anything. That's what you get. So you get whatever they're not going to pay, or whatever they're going to pay, that gets knocked off of your bill. There's a couple towns that pay absolutely nothing on the town portion of their bill. Not your whole January bill, because there's a county in there, and then there's Medicare and so on and so forth. But the town portion, the town itemized line, which is general fund and highway fund, would be completely wiped out. There wouldn't be any. It's not a lot of money. It's about $4 or $5 a thousand. So if you're assessed at $100,000, it's $500 that you wouldn't pay.
Which towns are those?
There's two of them. There is, can't read this one. I got something. Town of Martinsville. They get $1 million a year from these turbines.
For how long though?
Well, until the pilot runs out.
How
And then
long?
I don't know what they do after that. Usually a pilot's like 10 years. But then after 10 years, I don't know if they renew a pilot or if they go to maybe assess values or what, I don't know.
So they're going.
There isn't any of them that are up in 10 years as far as I know of yet.
Is there anything, okay, after the 20 years, is there anything saying, who's taking these things down?
They're supposed to be having a fund that's supposed to be paid on these, like an escrow account. It's supposed to be kept up where in case they are junked, that this escrow money comes out, tears these things down.
And that's covered in the local law.
Concrete the whole 9 yards?
They're supposed to.
Hi, I'm Lorena Charlson. I think most of you here know me. I live on the Santa Mont Road, and I had some information that I was kind of alarmed about, and I thought that I would come to the meeting and voice my opinion on it. I have 3 children. 2 of them live right here. I've lived here for over 40 years. Both of my children rent a house from me. They were very alarmed when they discovered that people weren't really interested in what they had to say if they weren't a taxpayer. Now, the way I look at things, my children have a vested interest in this town. They live here, they plan on staying here, their children live here, and I think that whoever made this regulation, that really needs to be changed. Because there is a lot of people around here, well, and I don't necessarily know that it's a regulation, but, yeah, well, I could tell by the look on your face. But the thing is that, as far as I'm concerned, they have just as much right to voice their opinion as anyone else does. They should be able to come here and say, well, I rent from so-and-so. I mean, I can understand it if you're an individual and you're renting and it's like a year basis and they're going to move off somewhere. My children aren't, and I have one in Colorado who plans on moving back here in probably 3 years.
You're referring to the survey.
Yes.
I was going to say, I'm assuming you're referring to the survey.
Yes.
What we did is because we have no idea who the renters are, we got a mailing list of all the property owners, and the survey was sent to them.
Now, that's another question I wanted to ask. Were the property owners that own property, say, in Lake Azonia that are from out of state, were they also sent this information?
Yes, they were. Mm-hmm.
Because that was a question I had.
Yes.
And another comment I would like to make is that I've spoken with my husband's doctor about the wind turbines. Mainly because I had done a lot of research on the magnetic, whatever it is that's in these things, and by looking at the map, people that have signed or agreed to sign a lease or whatever it is that they signed, they're going to be surrounding me on both sides. No matter which side of the road I go to 72, they will be surrounding me. My husband has a pacemaker, defibrillator, has a heart machine in our home, and my doctor tells me that it's not a good thing for him to be around them. Now, I brought up the subject to him that someone had said to me that you have to be relatively close for these things, to affect your pacemaker defibrillator. And I don't know if anybody in this room knows about that, but I have done some reading up on it. And you don't necessarily have to be. I mean, if we're driving around and those, and there's how many ever in our area, it's a high possibility that it can shut his machines down along with anybody else's that has them. So for me, that's a real concern. Because if that shuts down, Lord knows when it'll come back on. He could have a heart attack. I would never know. So that's a real concern, and I think that people in the community ought to be aware of that. And if they're not, maybe they ought to look up, read up on it and see what it's all about. Okay?
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Yes.
My name is Amber Lindsay. I live on Route 72. I'm in the township of Hopkinton. And in the interest of time, I have these down. I would like to know, and maybe some of these other people here would, who selected the Hopkinton Wind Advisory Board, and how were they selected?
Well, we discussed this quite a few months ago when we found out that the company was interested in coming here again. I went through the previous board that we had, contacted each one of them, and if they agreed to stay on the board, then I put their name forth. And when I didn't get enough, I went through the phone book and started calling people and begging them to serve on the board. Once I had 5 names, I brought it to the town board and they voted to appoint them.
Okay, and who approached the town regarding the expansion of the wind overlay zone, and when were they approached?
The development company approached me maybe a month and a half ago. And it's now waiting to go in front of the Wind Advisory Board.
Okay.
Is that it? Okay. Luke.
Hi. I have some excerpts here. As you know, we consulted with an attorney, and we are asking you to consider a moratorium, which is waiting a year on any wind development decision. And it's for the sake of the town and its residents, because as he says in this letter, the only one, it is my recommendation, the last paragraph, that the process be slowed down so that the public can have an adequate opportunity to provide input on what could be a fairly significant project in this township. A rush to judgment only serves the benefit of the applicant and not the town, who would then be burdened with the impact of this project on a long-term basis. You know, these things are not going to be down in 10 years. It is for that reason that the town board should and could invoke a moratorium in order to slow this process down and consider all the various impacts that a wind farm may and will create. We're giving you a list of the folks who have already signed petitions or moratoriums. The moratorium is to slow down the process so we can get more information. The petition is opposing a pilot because it seems like a real bargain for the development, for the wind development company, and it seems like a losing proposition for your taxpayers. In addition, the attorney is drafting a blank moratorium that you folks could look at. We really don't want to drag this out forever. We would like to have it gone tomorrow. None of these folks would rather be here, and I'm sure you wouldn't, going through this every month.
And there are additional people signing every day, so there are more since that list was drafted.
Do you have the whole letter? Just an
All right, this is always got to
letter,
be interesting.
and it's kind of personal, refers to kind of personal in it.
Uh-huh.
Do you have the
if
whole
you-
letter from the attorney?
Not with me, no.
Could you get me a whole letter from the attorney so I can see what the whole letter said, not just an excerpt?
Well, no, that's
No,
not us,
we can-
from the attorney, from the attorney. What we would like from you is, when you tabulate the survey, what that came up with, and what you have so far as your proposed wind law, so we can look at it, see what's in there, and give our input before the March 6th
You
meeting.
know we already have a wind law on file.
You have the existing wind law.
Yes.
You have a new proposed wind law.
But the existing wind law is the one that will take precedence if the new one doesn't get passed.
But we would like to see what the new proposal is, so we can make comments on what these changes may have been or haven't been. Because that meeting is set for March 6th, and we would like to be informed and aware and know what's going on. And we were wondering, did anyone ask yet? Who's responsible for placing the meeting of the Hopkinton Wind Advisory Board?
I already
on the
took
council?
blame for that. That's taken
Okay.
care of.
Okay, and so then we know about that. I'm sorry I was late. And that's what we would like. We would like that wind law that proposed wind law put on your website so we could look at it ahead of time and understand what are the changes that are being proposed and how they could affect us.
Until the county planning board and the attorneys have finished reviewing it, I will not place it on the website. And if you read through the minutes of the Wind Advisory Board minutes, every change that they proposed is in there.
Are those minutes on the website?
Yes, they are.
Okay.
I have some of those minutes, but they're not all up there.
Yes,
Sorry.
ma'am.
My name is Nancy Horan from Parishville, and I'd just like to give you all some copies of information concerning health risk.
That we gave it to you. Oh. Look at all these hands. In the back, Mr. I know your name and I can't think of it.
My name is Bob Emmett. I'm the director over at Mandeville Camp and Retreat Center on Sheldon Road. And Mandeville's been there and in operation here in the township of Hopkinton since 1974. Some of what I'm going to say was written on the survey, but I want to say it verbally. My best estimates is between 750 and 1,000 people come to Mandeville on a yearly basis for camp and retreat experiences. And with that, there's a mindset of what they come to expect in the environment that we're in. You know, we have a 7-week-long summer camp program for boys and girls. We do year-round retreats. We do snowballs in the wintertime, and we use our 211 acres, at least as much of it as we can, for the kids and the adults to enjoy, because, like I said, they come in with an expectation for the kind of experience that's going to, our purposes are for them to connect with God, and primarily through the environment that they interact with. And I've done camp ministry all my life. I've worked at several camps. I've been overseas. And, you know, I look at an environment to bring about a certain kind of an experience for the people who use that facility. You know, when I train down Sheldon Road, I mean, I take notice of everything. If I see a piece of trash, and I'm not equating that in any way. I mean, it's like going on vacation. You have an expectation of what you want to expect when you go to that location. And so I think a lot of people who come to our facility And like I said, between 750 and 1,000 people a year are looking for something that, you know, is going to impact them. And I can't help but think that a wind farm in the area is going to enhance that in any way, shape, or form for the people who use Mandeville. They approached me in May, and my mind was already made up. And if anybody can benefit from what they could offer monetarily, it's us, being a nonprofit organization. So I just want you to consider that, you know, it's people from outside who come into the area, which we're all concerned about, who are going to be impacted. Just from the visibility and the hearing of this equipment. And for me, I personally am not in favor of it, but I'm speaking, I think, on behalf of a lot of people who use our facilities, who come from out of the area, to be impacted in a positive way. Thank you.
Lori, you said that the minutes were on there. Everything that
January is not on there.
everything that has been given to me has been posted.
Okay.
I don't know if Mary Jane hasn't finished them yet, or but as soon as she gives them to me, they will be posted.
Okay.
I was going to say the same thing. I've gone to every one of those wind advisory board meetings, and the last one I couldn't make it to because of the overlap. So I've been checking constantly for those minutes.
I will check with her to see when she expects that they'll be done. Mr. Walter.
Mike Walter, I live out on 11D, 92. I've taught science here at the Parish of Hopkinton High School for 21 years. But I'm not here for the science part of it. I've seen two conflicting maps, and my question basically is whether, and maybe this has been a previous meeting or topic, but what's going on with the APA? The company map does not show the park lands, to my knowledge, being used, but I've seen other maps that do show, according to leaseholders, that those properties are
to my knowledge, there'll be nothing in the Adirondack Park.
So which way are the windmills running? I mean, not...
I can't answer that. We haven't seen the map with the actual places on it. It has not been released to us yet.
Because I thought going up through 72, I thought everything on this side going toward, you know, Malone or whatever, if you're going up 72, I thought that was all APA on that side.
No.
No?
A good deal is, though. And I'm going to be looking out 4 different directions and seeing windmills if this goes through, according to the leaseholders.
We don't even know who the leaseholders are.
No, because they're not all recorded yet, but there are quite a few recorded.
That it? Are you finished? Or
Well, yeah, my concern was if APA permitting was being pursued, or
not to my knowledge, no.
would we be made aware of it?
Yeah, I mean, that would be public information.
Probably not.
So, I mean,
The APA will hold their own hearings, like on permitting.
Mr. Akins.
Yes, I'm Richard Akins. I live in Hopkinton, a resident, and I am a leaseholder. But prior, I was notified of notices that the leaseholders didn't take in consideration of their neighbors. Prior to me signing that lease, I came to town board prior to signing the lease and asked them their opinion. Steve Bory was supervisor at the time. The board consensus was it was a good project. It was something the town needed. And that was one of the reasons I signed that lease. I still think it's a good project and probably a better project. When people are comparing, you should not look at Shadow Gate. If you're looking at a Chevy, you don't go to the Volkswagen garage. So I think you should look at our sightings of where this company has put turbines. You want to be fair. I mean, if you're going to buy one vehicle, you don't go to the other garage like somebody else's, if you're interested in one. The other point is, last year I also come back and I approached the board. I had another offer, and it was all right, and it didn't interfere with a wind lease, where I could lease out 40 acres for a solar farm. And that, the town would get no revenue from. That's what you told me, right? It would not be assessed. I could collect the money from it, and everybody could look at it and that would
I
be,
don't believe we ever voted on that.
did not vote on it, but I asked you questions about it.
You did ask questions about a solar farm, yes.
And I opted out of that option, because I didn't think anybody coming down 11B into Hopkinton would like to see all that between 11B and 72, a 40-acre field of solar panels. And you guys passed a local law on solar panels, and you're so worried about these people tearing the windmills down, how they're going to deregulate them. There's nothing in there about how do you dispose of these solar panels. And basically, you can put these solar panels right up to somebody's boundary line, right up to the road pretty near. And I'm not against solar. I'm not against it at all. But these local laws that come up with, anybody can't put up a small windmill if they wanted to. I mean, it's just the paperwork go through this. So, I'm just saying that they're not being treated fairly, I don't think. The other option I want to tell you about, the farm on the Morsey Road has been sold. On the 23rd of January, new owners took it over. All employees still have a job, and it's being put back to a heifer facility, and it's been purchased by the Fisher family out of Madrid, and I think they'll be very good neighbors to the town.
I agree.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dick. Okay, Lori.
Thank you. I just want to know when we could see the results of the survey.
I intend to cover that later tonight.
Okay, thank you.
Janet?
Way later. We have to go pretty soon. We have kids at home. Did you get them in? Do you have all the results tabulated and all that? Is it possible to do that relatively soon?
I was going to cover it in my supervisor report, which is towards the end of the meeting.
Another comment. So, I mean, I always hear the same thing, infrasound, infrasound, infrasound. It's a real thing, and there's so much that humans don't know until 30 years go down the line. They're like, oh no, asbestos. These are things that we can find out now and know that there's a chance it's going to affect our kids. I think it's absolutely irresponsible to not at least go with the moratorium. If not, just say no, based on the fact that we don't know and it's so huge. It's not like they're asking for 1, they're asking for 40, and there's phase 1 and phase 2, and they expand. And I can see that the little people have no power. We're having to come here to 3 nights a month, we're meeting each other, it's taking up all this time. Like, can't we just get the moratorium, get our act together, and really find out how this is going to affect our school kids, which is what's really important. Whatever needs to be done, please tell somebody and we'll do it.
Take that into consideration.
Yes. Along those same lines, I'm Leslie from Hopkinton. I have a son with hearing disabilities, and he has deformed cochlea. So I've been doing some research on the effect of the wind turbines on children with hearing loss, and he has profound hearing loss in one ear. He's losing hearing in the other. And the sound from the windmills are at a low enough decibel where they will affect his hearing and his learning and his sleeping. He already has very bad tinnitus at night from the hearing loss. And so that sound will, if they're close enough to us, I'm not sure they will be, but they say even a mile, it will affect our children.
Okay, any other? Yes.
Hi, Patty from Parrishville, Hopkinton Town Line. And I want to first thank everybody for you hardworking board members who are listening and really taking the time to hear everybody's issues and concerns, and for everybody who's been voluntarily giving their time and coming to all these meetings to help hopefully provide the information that's needed to make what will probably be one of the most important decisions that each and every board member makes in their lifetime in the end. And I also want to thank the residents of Hopkinton who couldn't be here tonight. Some of them went to the county legislature tonight to meet with the county legislators so that one of the residents of the Hoosick Wind area could speak to them about the effects that this Iberdrola installation has had on their community.
Yeah, I printed out a copy of the article today so I can give it to the board members.
Thank you.
He told us so much and how many people
know.
had been affected
I'm
miles away from the turbines. I've spoken to you before, and I've written to each of you individually and as a board, so I won't rehash that information again. But there are a lot of health, safety, environmental, and economic concerns about turbines. I hope that you're seriously considering these and looking into them carefully and not just listening to what Iberdrola, a.k.a. Avangrid, a.k.a. Atlantic Wind, Limited Liability Corporation, or their lease holders, or what I like to say, lien holders might be telling you. Because information from around the country and literally around the world is telling us that it contradicts what they're telling us. For example, I just read in the Malone Telegram last week that Chateaugay School District is struggling to balance their budget and they're unable to stay even close to the tax cap this year. And the wise leadership of Malone Town Board, who fortunately had a scientist on their board, saw fit to make turbines illegal after they investigated the effects on other communities. Thousands and thousands of people are reporting serious ill health and other health effects from turbines. I encourage you to increase these setbacks much, much more significantly than you're even considering now for all of our health, because I care about all of you, and I'm sure you all care about this community or you wouldn't be doing this job. Please protect our health and safety and our welfare from this seven-headed monster, as I call them. Let it be known that if I or my family or my friends become ill from an installation of this type, I will personally hold each and every one of you, including the board members who aren't present tonight, personally responsible and liable. I may not be able to sue Avangrid, but I can sue you. I have a legal background, and I offer my support and resources to any others who suffer, and I grant you they will if this place comes in. Finally, don't expect the wind company to assist you once they get what they want, because they don't, and they won't. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes. Hi, I'm Sherry Wetton, a Stockholm resident, Hopkinton landowner, and I've been interested in this and have done a fair amount of research concerned certainly about health benefit and aesthetics, but being a CPA, I've been looking at the financial interest of the town and wondering about the taxpayers' dollars. And it appears to me from what I've been doing research that we're looking at probably between a 7 and a 14% drop in property value within a mile of all of the wind turbines. And that some can be as much as 55% in certain locations, and that there's a 14% average vacancy, homes that nobody will live in because they're uninhabitable. And I'm concerned if there's been actual numbers. I started working on it, but it's very difficult because I have a vague map that doesn't have wind towers on it, with an idea of where the residences are located in town.
And it appears to me, because the stretch of the main section of the map runs through the middle of the most highly populated area in Hopkinton here, that the tax dollar base you're going to lose is going to be incredible. I'm not sure how to portray that without a huge amount of, extensive work on my part, but there is a professor in Clarkston that has done a few different studies on this, and perhaps a moratorium in order to have this information and be in the town's best interest. Thank you.
Thank you.
Other comments?
Solar doesn't make people sick.
And it's 10 times more efficient in this area.
And shame on the board for telling them not to do the solar.
Yeah.
I know it wasn't you, he specified it was 10 years ago, but I understand that. But whoever was here.
If we would do the solar power, like they did out there by the airport, small airport there going out toward Potsdam, if we were to do something like that, it would probably be more beneficial than putting a wind tower a couple hundred feet in the air. And if that thing comes over,
Beneficial to who? The farmer who loses all the acreage and can't grow his crops anymore? Or beneficial?
what's the difference between that big windmill sitting there and you can only use, so you're going to lose an acre of property there anyway.
An acre out of 100 versus laying 100 acres worth of solar power.
That the town he just said the town don't get nothing for it.
The state should be giving this money to the taxpayers to put up solar installations instead of a foreign corporation that doesn't care about us.
Well, there's a lot.
There's a lot of foreign companies. I mean, there's probably Toyota Priuses parked right outside.
This company is connected to Qatar, known financier of terrorists.
Yeah, and so was Hillary Clinton, so...
I'm Kelly Carlson. Unfortunately, this is the second town I have lived in that this company has come in and tried to completely destroy all relationships within the town. I wanted to just comment on yours with the having the acres take up with solar panels. They still might be. When these farmers sign, these landowners sign the leases, they're signing a lease with an energy company. So if they choose not to put windmills up and they choose to put the solar up, the landholder can't do anything about it. So it still might happen. They still might lose all that land.
Well, except for their leases for an acre to 3 acres versus leasing the whole 200 acres.
No, over, under, sideways, down. That's what some of these leases say. Free reign.
And it's the whole parcel.
And each lease is different, and we don't get to see it ahead of time, so who knows what's on these leases, really?
Well, it's their private property. It shouldn't be up for any of us to see anyway.
You could say that unless it's
It's
going to affect other people. But
But
it'd be
the
like
thing
saying you
is-
can have a nuclear dump site in the middle of town if you wanted to. It's not going to affect anybody but him. It's going to affect everybody. Not as drastically, but I mean, that kind of mentality is not helpful.
Well, they've got to go from tower to tower to tower to tower, and they've got to run that cable underground. That property's theirs, all the way straight through. And if Mr. Akins doesn't know what's going to happen to him or how much property they're going to be saying, oh, well, I realize we got an acre here, 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 and here, but we've got to run 10 miles of cable underground. Do you think they're going to want him plowing over the top of that cable? No. That property that cable's running through, he's not going to be able to touch that either. And I don't think that's anything they're telling the poor guy. If he doesn't know already, I don't know if he does. But they've got to run that cable from tower to tower to tower to tower. And it's connecting blocks and that whole strip straight through there. He'll never be able to touch again until those towers actually come down. And that's just a fact. I mean, even with the solar...
You don't know that because you don't know how they're running the wires, so you don't know if he's losing his whole...
They're not running above ground.
No, but they'll probably run it right down the access road.
I'm going to give the Iberdrola rep a few minutes to perhaps he can touch.
Well, actually, I just want to, my name is Scott McDonald with Avangrid, and I too appreciate the time and effort of the board, and also appreciate listening to your comments and questions. There are a lot of questions, There's everything that I'm hearing here. You can have an opportunity to attend and speak to folks, experts, however you want to, want to take that. At our open house on March 7th, from 2 to 4, and we have a session from 6 to 8. And I invite everyone here to take the opportunity and show up and ask questions like, sir, you are. Everybody here, we welcome that. This is a good discussion. You've got a lot of questions. We can help answer them.
Will that be a question and answer where everyone gets to hear the answer, or
You-
is it several people around where only the one or two people talking to you get to know the information and
It's
no one else
an
knows?
open house. You can walk around in a group if you'd like, from station to station.
So only people talking to each person can hear the answer, and most of the
Well-
answers will be, that's not my area.
Well, we will direct you to an area, okay? We will make sure that your question is answered. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, do you have an objection if I do the survey now? Okay. We received a total of 266 surveys back, and realized that not everyone answered all the questions. So, question number 1 was, have you heard about the potential Northridge wind farm development? 232 said yes, and 30 said no. Are you more likely to support, oppose, or remain neutral regarding this project in your community? 96 supported, 130 oppose it, and 40 are neutral. And then what I did is I took each response to the questions. If yes, why do you support? I support renewable energy sources, 102 people. Project will provide monetary benefits to the community, 86 responded. Project will help to preserve our local farms in rural settings, 42. Project will assist the country in becoming more energy independent, 81. The project will create local jobs during construction and operation, 85. The project will offer opportunities for local businesses, 64. Wind power will stabilize electricity rates and could save customers money, 62. If no, why do you oppose? I am concerned that a wind farm will ruin the aesthetics of the community, 116. I am concerned about the noise levels generated from the wind turbines, 114. I am concerned that only a few property owners will receive direct monetary benefits, 89. I am concerned about potential health hazards, 97. I do not support this as the community will not benefit from the power created, 109. I feel that this project will have an impact on the wildlife, 105. I am concerned this project may have a negative impact on farming and rural living, 109. I am concerned my property values may decrease as a result of the survey, 117. If you remain neutral, please check the reasons that most clearly represent your thought. 23 said I have not obtained enough information regarding this matter. 9 said I do not have an opinion either for or against a wind farm in the community. Prior to this survey, how much have you heard about the Northridge wind farm? 99, a lot. 101, some. 33, very little. 24, none at all. Do you believe there are direct economic benefits for the community to host a wind farm? 65, yes. 119, no. And 25, unsure. Do you believe that a wind farm would lower your property value? 118, yes. 79, no. And 58, unsure. For the pilot agreement, a pilot agreement in lieu of taxes, 62 said that's what they wanted. 154 want the actual taxes based on the assessment. And then there were all kinds of comments that I am not going to read through because it's pages and pages. But I did type them all up. So, yes, I will email it to you, Lori.
Could you, email me the whole thing?
Thank you. So that is the survey. Know that the board has not discussed any of the results yet, so I just got this together end of last week and emailed it, so we're still, yes.
Can I just ask why the town isn't going to have a referendum?
Because it's not a New York State requirement to have a referendum.
I understand
And
it's not a requirement, but
It's
you
not,
could do
it
it.
wouldn't be binding.
it wouldn't be binding, but
It would
but
help a lot of
the board would
information, though.
follow, the survey, I mean, I think that's fantastic that you did the survey, but it's not the same as a vote. You don't know how many of those came from the same person, you don't, you know, there's, you know, that's, I mean, if you had a vote, people are actually coming in and they're voting. Yes, I want the windmills, no, I don't. This is our town. I mean, you always talk about, well, it's their property. Well, it's their property in our town, and we all have to live with it. So I don't understand why that wouldn't make the most sense. Even if it's not binding, the board should find it binding.
Because just to tag on to that, I mean, it is your number one responsibility to protect the health, safety, and welfare of your citizens. So how better to do that than put this to a vote and let everyone, because they aren't going to be living in it.
Let me ask you a question. If the case were that we had the referendum and people wanted it, what then?
Then you live with it.
Yeah.
Then you give everybody a fair vote.
But still, I don't think that's going to happen.
Oh, well, I'm just saying.
I'm just saying, too.
I mean, I sent out over 900 surveys and only got 266 back.
Because you put a deadline on yours, Pearsall did not.
Well,
You put them out later than Pearsall, and you wanted them back at a certain time. I'm just saying.
Well, if people want to, if they want a voice, then they would have returned.
There probably wasn't time for the seasonal residents to even get a response back in time.
Because some live in Georgia, some live all
We
over.
got quite a few from all over, believe me. I opened them.
Because they came with the taxes, so.
You know that article that you just saw in This Week today? I just wanted you to know that he also shared that there was a neighbor who had a home valued at $125,000 prior to the windmill, the Iberdrola installation, and he has had that house lowered and lowered, and it's been on the market for $39,000 in a very desirable area of the Berkshire Mountains for over a year, and they haven't had a nibble.
Now, I just wanted to say something. Unless I'm completely misunderstanding the process, even if we as a town board were completely against the wind project, in the Article 10 process, there's nothing we can do to stop it.
Yes, there is. You've been misinformed.
What can we do? It goes to a vote of 5 people at state level.
Have a lawyer.
You need a lawyer, and you need a lot better wind law than what you got right now, because it is definitely doable. So I'm sorry that you've not been given the right information, but...
From what I read, the Article 10 process, it's going to go to a vote of 5 at state level. So.
But if you have a
Lawyer
strong
that
wind law,
specializes in this field.
there's nothing they can fight you on.
If you make the wind law too restrict, then they could sue you saying that that's too strict, and then now where do we
Where'd
have
you
money?
get that information from?
Article 10 is no joke. They decide to throw you an Article 10. There's not a whole lot actually we can do about it. They did the same thing. Where's Penny live?
Yeah, we wanna go-
Saratoga. They had state land there. That was a park. This guy's had this mansion on this property, and they wanted to put a highway through there. They took his house. They kicked him out of his house. So this 10 is no joke. That's one thing we really got to watch out for. Because then if they want to do it, they can put those damn things anywhere they want to, whether he owns the property, you own the property. They'll take your house from you, and they give you nothing. Zero, a big freaking donut. They take your house, you're out, you got nothing to say. So if they start throwing an Article 10, it ain't no joke.
Article 10's already been started.
Kate
And then
Vincent thought...
And you say get a lawyer. You say get a lawyer, but then this room was packed when we were talking about our 2% because this town is stretched to the very limit of its penny. Where are we going to get money to pay for a high-dollar lawyer?
It was passed because she has applied for party status. That means you're eligible for intervenor funds, and they will pay for an attorney to help you with the wind law. They will pay for an attorney to write a moratorium to give you a year to research this.
They pay up to a certain point.
Exactly, but you're not even applying.
Well, I ran into this information when I was researching, and there have been many successful wins
Yeah.
against Article 10. And they've held. I think there are 8 or 9 of them at this point in time that have won against it in New York State. If you took the time to look, if you did a moratorium, you took the time to look at what this is going to do to your real estate values, your property values, the finances for this town, I think you'd find out that an attorney, even if you have to pay for it in full, might be a cheap option.
Mr. Pippin.
My name is Harold Pippin. I live in Hopkinton. I am a leaseholder also. And I would like to say thank you all for coming. And I'm a little disappointed there are not more people that have the same concerns that I do. I do not know everything about wind towers. I do not know everything about the doctors that have described all these horrible things that happen. I'm thinking maybe everyone should look into this and find out, are these really truths or are these just, I don't know what. I do feel that the wind farm will be very good for this community. I am also a concerned citizen, sir, and I know many others that are concerned. I do not see a lot of them here that are in favor of the wind. I am one of them. I think Mr. Aiken was also. And I just wanted to let you know that. And maybe at the next meeting, I can see if I can't get more people here that may be supporting it, just to show you that there is several people in Hopkinton who do support this.
Can you just tell us why you support it?
Pardon me?
Can you just tell us why you support it?
Yeah, I support it because Hopkinton is not a very rich town. There is not a lot here. There has never been a lot here. And in the future, I don't see as there's going to be very much more here. And I think this would be very good for our community.
Because people will want to come to a community with windmills?
Pardon me?
Because people will want to move to a community with windmills?
I think the people that are here, why would, people, I don't know if they'll come here or not. I can't answer that question.
Several people have told me they'll leave if they come.
Yeah.
I have been told that also.
One thing
But the people who don't leave, I think it would be financially good for them. Thank you.
One thing that concerns the abandoned houses that I see along 11B, and that's because large farms have purchased that land which had a home on it, and those homes are now abandoned because they're no longer needed by a large farm, and that is a loss to your tax base. I count 4, 5, 6 anyway.
Along
11B.
within the town of Hopkinton?
In Hopkinton.
Are we talking large farms now, or are we still talking wind towers?
Large farms. That a large farm has bought the property and now, are paying, because they're ag assessment, they pay less per acre than someone with a smaller area, because they're a full-time farmer, no argument there, that's in the law, but they're losing population when one person can buy all this land and move and people leave and don't come back. That's a home instead of being $30,000 or $50,000 on your tax roll, it's reduced to nothing.
Why did they leave?
Because
somebody bought the land around them?
Because somebody bought their land.
I'm curious as to where these houses are.
On 11B, there's like one, I think, there's 2 at Sheldon Road maybe, and
There's one there, that house was condemned.
According to Sheldon Road, has been condemned.
all right, well,
The other one, someone does live there.
all right, well, I can't tell you what the addresses are.
Okay, I'm
But I've
just saying, because I
noticed
travel
that-
that road every morning.
Yeah, but I see homes that have been abandoned and large landowners that have that land and are paying a lot less per acre than somebody with 20, 30, 10, 5 acres.
Mr. Aiken?
Yes, I'd like to argue that the one is, do I have any ag assessment on my property?
No.
Does anybody have ag exemption property in town of Hopkinton?
There is, I think, 3 or 4 people.
Assessment?
No.
You said I had ag assessment.
Ag
said large-
assessment, my husband went on the tax rolls.
I do not have any ag assessment. I may have
Exemptions.
some exemption because of files and stuff like that. But I do not have any exemption, and I have not abandoned any houses.
Well, that's great,
So
because
what
that's
Lorna
what
showed
we're
us-
concerned is houses being abandoned and loss of tax base for
I'll
that
tell you
reason.
what, if our taxes were less, you'd be surprised what more we might have.
Okay,
So can I,
Gyrate good,
Yes.
I don't understand where you thought that the assessments go down on abandoned farms, because they don't.
pardon?
The assessments on abandoned farms, the farmland, they don't go down.
No, abandoned homes. If a home is not used and it falls into disrepair, then the assessment can be lowered just by
Right,
going.
but you mentioned something about the lands, the assessment on the lands are lower.
Ag
They're assessed less.
assessments are lower than regular
No,
assessments.
they're not. I don't lower any lands because it's abandoned or not.
No,
It's
not because
$800
it's
an acre.
abandoned, because it's an ag. There's ag assessments that can be lower than regular property. You
How
said
would they-
yourself, they get different,
How would they do that?
they're right there, they say ag assessment, and it's lower than a regular assessment.
You're talking about ag exemptions.
Ag exemption, all right.
An ag exemption, but there's only 3 people in the whole town of Hopkinton that have ag exemptions, and they're not that much lower. If you know how the exemption works, in other words, New York State says, if anybody's assessed over $1,000 an acre, right this year it's $1,100. If anybody's assessed over $1,100 an acre, whatever that figure is exempt. So in other words, if you're assessed at $1,150 an acre, it's only $50 that's exempt, not all the rest of the land. Just
All right,
the
well,
over.
I'm not
But
arguing
there's
against
nobody,
farmers.
but there's nobody assessed over $1,100 an acre. Everybody's assessed less than that. So there is very, very little ag exemptions, and the only ones that there are the ones that people like got muck land, where the ceiling, New York State puts a ceiling of like $300. Well, they're assessed at a touch more than that. So they get just that little bit. But you can have, like Dick has got $1 million worth of assessed value. If he went on ag exemptions, he wouldn't get $20,000 off his assessment.
Okay,
It's
that's good
very,
there.
very low.
I just know there's ag assessments and they can be lower
Ag
than,
exemption.
ag exemptions, lower than regular.
But not much. Very, very low.
Okay, I'm going to let you do one more question.
Mine is quick. Earlier you said that you knew of 2 towns that didn't pay any town taxes. And you mentioned Martinsdale, but you didn't mention the city. Martinsburg.
Well, right here it says M-A-R-T, but I think it's Martins.
I think it's Martinsburg.
Okay, and what was the second one?
The other one was, it might be Harrisburg.
Harrisville.
Harris,
I think you told me.
Harrisville or Harrisburg.
Yeah.
It's one of the 2.
Harrisville and Martinsburg, kind of close together.
Can I just ask one more tax question?
Sure.
Okay. I'd like to know, most of the Amish who move to the community, they pay cash for their houses when they come in. If they leave, what will happen to the taxes on their property?
It depends on if somebody buys the property. Or
Somebody doesn't buy the property.
the assessments or anything don't change. What happens is the county will take the property and then sell it, just like they do anybody who doesn't
So
pay
nobody will
taxes.
be paying the taxes.
If nobody pays the taxes, the county takes it.
That's what I'm saying. So when the county takes the property,
The
then
county-
nobody,
Tax sale.
then nobody will be paying the taxes.
No, the county makes the school and the towns whole. So they still pay the taxes to the town and the school. They don't pay their county taxes because it's the county that took the property. So they still pay the town and they still pay the school, the same taxes that the owner would be paying. Then when they sell the property, they get basically that money back, if not more. Depends on what they sell the property for. But you can see on a property transfer, they might take the property for $3,500 of back taxes owed. But they still paid the town and the school. They might sell the property for $10,000. So they ended up still getting their money back. The town and the schools don't go without any money if nobody pays the taxes. The county pays.
So the county pays the unpaid taxes by the homeowner.
Yep.
The homeowner has
To the-
left, the
Yes.
county pays the taxes.
The county pays the
So if
taxes.
what's going to happen if you have 20 Amish families who leave the community?
A lot of, well, Hopkinton wasn't so bad. This year there was probably, I think, 12 that went back for foreclosure, and they paid all the taxes on them. But Brazier had about 25. and the county pays Brazier for their town and school taxes that the people didn't pay. And
So
then the
I guess you answered my question is then we're responsible to pay those taxes.
No, they are.
Now, we are the county.
We are.
We are the county. If they leave and they're not paying, he's saying that the county then is going to pick up the taxes.
We're paying for the turbines.
Okay.
And we're paying
That's what I
again
wanted to
and
know,
again.
because I think that is a real concern.
Yep.
That they may leave.
The county pays.
Okay,
But the county gets the taxes from you.
right. Okay.
But it's not just the Amish that do that. In fact, I've never seen
I was
any
just using
Amish-
it as an example.
Yeah, I've never seen any Amish just pack up and leave their property, at least here.
Well,
in
they've
Hopkinton.
told me that's what's gonna happen if it comes in.
Oh, and it could have, but I haven't seen it yet. But, I mean, if they did, if anybody leaves their property, the taxes are paid.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you all for coming, expressing your concerns, and like I say, every meeting, we're still researching, we're looking, we're talking to other towns, so
Just give you a few more things. Just, we won't talk about it, just hand them out. Kelly, you got those?
Oh, I do know.
Oh, you
Thank you
gave
for
them.
sharing information with us. Answering questions.
no problem.
Yes.
Okay, approval of the minutes from January 9th, 2017. Greg made a motion. We're going to move on with the meeting. Greg made a motion to accept the minutes from January. Second? Sue, second. All in favor? Motion to approve the financial report for December 2016 and January 2017. Oh, that's right. I was going to say, I know I have a note here. There was a computer glitch. We only have the financial report for December, so motion to approve that. Steve made a motion. Second? Sue, second. All in favor?
He's gonna bring it to me.
Thank you. Audit of the bills. Vouchers number 18 to 47 from the general account for $9,258.33. Vouchers number 6 to 20 in the highway account, $47,866.10. Vouchers number 2 to 3 from the BHLS account, $480.47. And vouchers number 1 to 2 from the building account for $14,000. A motion to approve the audit of bills. Thank you, Luke. Sue made the motion. Second?
I'll second.
Steve seconds. All in favor? Okay. Correspondence. You all had the letter from Pat regarding the wind turbines. Associations of Towns regarding the voter-approved efficiency plans that the wonderful governor wants to put through. So we need to stay on top of that because we could stand to lose some money if that goes through.
About $10,000. So that would decline in sales tax. Yeah, you won't be under 2%, I'll guarantee you that if it happens.
No. And I know the county is very concerned about this as well. What they want us to do is they want the county to sign shared service agreements with all the towns, and then they want it to go to a vote, and people have to vote on it.
But we already have shared services with the county. Like,
but apparently not enough. So we need to stay on top of that, and that is one of the topics that's going to be discussed at the next supervisor meeting. So I'll bring back more information from that. The BHLS minutes. Got those. Old business. Quote on wiring at the museum.
I didn't really, I was gonna call you, but I
Well,
already
last month we discussed because Dwayne Black said that a lot of issues with the wiring, and now we know that there's an issue with the water heater.
Yeah.
And I don't have my phone, but I got a phone call that there was no hot water over at the library.
You want a picture of it?
So yeah, you have your phone? So I got a hold of Greg, he came and looked at it, and apparently the wires have burnt off, close to another disaster. and he took a picture. So we need to decide what to do in that, but I didn't get a quote.
That's where the power goes in. The gray wire on the top is hot, it was. And I was prodding around there with my screwdriver and I got my everything up, so.
So
While I was standing in water. I don't know if it hurt the hot water heater itself. It would need to be tested, but it needs to be rewired or something. It's not working now.
They only use hot water in the bathroom. So why, we could just do a small one right in the bathroom over there, like what we used to have at the town office.
There's not enough room.
Small little water heater, they don't, to wash hands with.
I looked in there, I don't know, because the actual breaker box for this is upstairs in that bathroom, and I don't know where you would put it. But when they do rewire this,
No sense
that
in
box,
heating a 50-gallon or 40-gallon hot water when they use it just for washing hands at the library. And they have kerosene over there. They have fuel oil.
I don't know if you can get those on-demand heaters, water heaters with kerosene or not.
I don't think you would
Well,
give you a lot more.
and they use them to monitor heaters. I mean, monitor heaters, people that use monitor heaters on demand, those are propane and kerosene.
I mean,
So.
you could look into both, but I think by the time you have to pay, it might be cheaper to get another electric one.
Small one.
Small one. Yeah, they don't need that big one. That one's $220. The next time somebody gives me a phone call to check out wiring, I'm not going to answer it. That was very close. Yeah.
So you'll get a quote.
I'll do it.
One of you will.
Yeah, I can.
Someone will give a quote.
Yeah, I can do that. I'll get one.
And
I'm not installing it.
I was going to say we'll need to find someone to install it.
Because that, like I was saying, the wiring is probably good, but the power box for this has got to be changed. It cannot be run. It didn't trip the brake, the fuses.
We know what happens when that happens.
Yep. It didn't even do nothing. I have it shut off, taped off, tied off, and blocked, so that you can get to it now, but you can't run it back through that wire. So. I mean, I have to talk to Wayne and see if that's something that his guys could give me a quote on installing.
I have seen nothing of them.
He's still jacked it, he's letting it settle. The last he told me, that he jacked and it made some creaking, and he said he was going to wait for a little while.
Some creaking, huh?
Yeah. It's got to go up 6 inches. It'll take a while. But he's got all the cement down there. I was going to cover it on a museum, but it's all, he has done some work down there. His tools are still here, so they're not out yet.
Cement blocks are here, right?
Yeah, cement.
Okay. I need to go back to correspondence because he left us a bunch of. St. Lawrence Central High School looking for a donation for graduating all-night party. Did we donate last year?
No, we haven't donated in many years.
I didn't think we did.
Town of Stockholm, I think we did $50.
We can donate to that?
You can't call it a donation. You can support the cause, but you can't make a donation.
I just, personally, I hesitate to do it because then that's going to open us up to all kinds of requests.
Like your own town.
So, that's just my opinion. What do you agree with that, Greg?
Yep.
Sue? So that's a no. And, oh, I thought you gave us another letter. In the office. I have letters. Vicki, I think this is for you. This is from the agriculture market about dog licenses.
Oh, yep, about the monthly.
Yeah, about the surcharges and then we got a letter from, I never can say his name, Stu Associates. Is it Stu? Got two of them, one for the town of Hopkinton, one for Catherinesville Cemetery. They've been retained by Avangrid Renewables to perform the ATLA/ACSM land title surveying and mapping for all parcels that comprise the proposed North Ridge Wind Farm located in the towns of Hopkinton and Parrishville, blah, blah, blah. Based on information provided by Avangrid Renewables and obtained from the St. Lawrence County Real Property Office, it appears that you are either a participating landowner or a non-participating adjoining landowner. When performing a boundary retracement survey, it is the land surveyor's professional responsibility to evaluate records, deeds, wills, and maps, and physical, iron pins, monuments, fences, stone walls, and hedgerows, evidence of the subject parcel and any adjoining or adjacent parcels. It will be necessary for our survey crew to enter your property to search for and locate iron pins or other man-made monuments, possibly marking a property line or corner, and to locate any fences, stone walls, or hedgerows that may represent an occupation line or boundary line. The intent of this letter is to provide advance notice of the pending survey and to seek permission for access to your property. We respectfully request permission to enter upon your property to search for and locate any physical boundary evidence that may be pertinent in reestablishing the property lines of the parcels within the project boundary. Should you choose to restrict access to your property, please contact our office by telephone, fax, email, or letter. Our survey crew will attempt to make contact prior to initiating any surveying tasks on your property. Thank you in advance for your consideration. So,
Why would they need to go in the cemetery? That doesn't make any sense to me.
No, it's a property adjacent to.
Okay, but not, from what I heard, they want to be able to enter the cemetery to look for markers. And the markers would be clearly visible from the other side. I don't think they need to get in the cemetery. It's a very small property.
yeah, we own some cemetery. So, I mean, if they're just going on to find the markers, if they're not going to damage everything, yeah. So.
Probably a lot of that is just, they may be on the other side, if they step over, they're not getting shots.
They could fall in, though.
One question. I thought it was supposed to be between 72 and 11B, so the cemetery is beyond that, right?
So they're already going into the proposed expansion of the wind overlay zone
Well,
before the town has given them permission.
actually, we uncovered a problem when I was meeting with the attorneys. We have no wind overlay zone. It was never put to a resolution and put to a local law.
I thought that it was part of your original local law.
Not the wind overlay.
Yeah, you got a problem.
So,
I mean, and they're going to take advantage of it every way they can. Look at them perk right up. Their ears are twitching.
so we're on it.
Okay,
That's
good.
sacred ground, though. I don't see the need for them to set foot in there.
It's public property serving.
You can't tell somebody not to go to the town park on Hopkinton.
The property line boundaries are easily seen from the outside of the border of the tiny cemetery.
So, regardless, permission for them to enter?
Yeah, I'm not going to oppose it.
Okay. Sue?
If they don't disturb the cemetery.
Yep, make sure they know that. A motion to let them,
Opposed?
Steve made the motion. Steve, second?
Yeah, whatever.
Sue said yes. Okay. That was it. Okay, back to the old business audit of annual reports.
Before you leave, they're all over here, they all need to be signed and audited before you leave.
Do we have the court? Okay.
And you have the taxes and the town clerk and tax collection, bank statements.
Keep us here for a minute.
Yep.
Okay, supervisor update. Okay, I just gave you the bad news about the wind overlay zone. The advisory board is meeting on Thursday night, and I have given them, I will give them the news, because they thought they were going to review the extensions, but now they've got to look at the whole thing. So, the county has, oh my God, what's the word I want? Anyway, the county put together, whatever, a committee, and so they're getting ready for this, the wind project as well. I did meet with the attorney. We have co-contracted with an attorney downstate that is a wind attorney, and he had some issues with some of the proposed revisions that were presented, and so we're going over those, and then we can move forward once those are resolved. Down farther, you'll see that Frank Barney, who was chair of the Wind Advisory Board, that he resigned. John Niles is an alternate on the board. So we will need to look to either appoint him as a regular member or give me another name. Everyone I've contacted has said, no way. So we can do that down. Sales tax got its first check for $70,725. Last year at this time we received $74,717, so we are down already by $3,992. That is not good.
That's our Christmas check.
Yeah. So, I had a meeting scheduled for the 22nd with Billy Jones, our new assembly member, and he was going to come to town, but I have a conflict at Clarkson that day, so I'm trying to get it rescheduled.
Oh, okay.
If not,
For Saturday?
no, it's a Wednesday. It's on a Wednesday. So,
This Wednesday? Like in 2 days?
actually. So I'll let you know about that. We went over the survey results, and our code enforcement person looking to retire. Even though I told him I reject it, I deny it. So we have to be thinking about his replacement, looking to get done the end of, boy, my mouth is dry, looking to get done the end of March. So it'd be nice to get someone in to work with him a little bit too in March. So you're thinking, I do have 2 names that I want to approach and do an interview with them. If anyone wants to be with me when I do those, let me know, and I'll schedule it around.
If you send out when you're going to do it, I'll let you know if
Okay, and if you have any one that you know would be interested, let me know. That is it for supervisor. Code. Oh, any questions for me? Thank you.
This is just for January. I just had 1 building permit issued, and only 1 permit to date. And the permit was from Dollar General. They filed the permit along with their engineered prints, and they're waiting. We're just waiting to get the signed copy of the building permit and the check. And we received the checks Monday.
So does that mean the property sale and everything went through? And
I haven't got a property transfer yet. But at least the permits are paid for.
Where's it going?
For that For that piece of property, or they changed?
Yeah, it's for property on, yeah.
Clear on 11B.
Right by Lancaster's Market.
That should raise the sales tax income.
So,
That's it on the code. Not to mention that, yeah.
assessor.
I attended the St. Lawrence County Assessors Association training in Canton. We discussed the invoicing for the association dues for 2017, which I did get a check for, so I'll be sending that in. The revaluation for the towns of Lawrence, Ogdensburg, and Pitcairn. They're the three towns that are going to go through a complete reassessment program this year. Exemption renewals, the aged, enhanced, and ag lands, the 2017 trend, the 2018 roll, which I didn't have this paperwork when I did the notes, but it looks like the equalization rate for Hopkinton is going to be 102%. I had no idea why. It shouldn't be that, but we're going to love it because it is. And that's the seventh year? Seventh year in a row we've been at 100%.
Good job.
Let's see. Oh, there's 2 continuing education seminars. I'll be going to one of them, which is this Thursday, on how to assess multi-use properties. And also about bringing the final roll in. We have to have the final roll in by April 15th at the latest. I reviewed the changes for St. Lawrence County Director's retirement. St. Lawrence County Assessors Association held a special meeting to discuss what we're going to expect the county to do in hiring a new director. Darren Colton was our director, and he retired January 22nd, but he's staying on until June 2nd. Kind of as a consultant for now until they hire somebody. And we also wanted to know what the new process is going to be for hiring a new director. The assessor's offices are going to continue the policies that we have been doing for the past 7 years. We will be meeting with the county administrator, Ruth, what her last name was?
Doyle.
Ruth
Doyle.
Doyle. And Kevin, his last name, one of the legislators.
Acres.
Or Acres, yes. We're going to be meeting with them too, and they want to hear from the assessors of what we want to change. We don't want to change anything. We need a director. We don't want them to combine departments. That's what their thought was a couple of years ago, but they're changing it now. They want to stay with just one director for each department. But he's going to, like I said, he will be continuing as a consultant until June 2nd. Our last payment for the 488 program came from Woodwise Forest Land. I finally got paper. The payment was in October, so I'm thinking that I'm hoping that that's just the third quarter, or maybe the second quarter, because it isn't a lot of money, but the county got we got $505, the county got $745, and the school got $1,278. The total that they paid, Woodwise paid, was $2,528. That can't be for a year. It can't be.
That's only one company.
Yeah, that's the only one I got the results on so far. So,
I mean, that could be
somebody's
as little as one job.
Yeah. I'll just have to research it again. I just got this thing, so it's...
Is that something they sent to you, or is it?
Yeah. Well, I received that from the county clerk's office, or county treasurer's office.
But I wonder if, since we've been starting to ask a few more questions, if they're getting...
Oh.
And now they're starting to see that we're looking, and now they're starting to send you stuff. Woodwise, huh?
Yeah.
I think that's just a branch of the other one, but we'll look into that one too.
And I've continued to assess the new construction, building permit changes, demolition, and property transfers. All the information is filed on computer files and into the roll call. That's it.
Questions for Ellen? Library.
Dan can be here. Well, I'm Jan.
Okay.
She says Henry fixed the porch light, so that's on. They still need the front door replaced, and she didn't know if that was something they were gonna cover through the grant work. The front door at the library on 11B side needs to be replaced. If not, they had a trustee group meeting, and Larry Mitchell has offered to help put a new door in. If that's something the board wishes. She did a survey, passed out a survey at Food Bank Day over here on Friday to see what people wanted from the library, if they were happy with the library, whatever. So she's hoping to get those survey results back. And she wanted to pass on to the board that the patrons are very happy with the new ramp, and it looks very nice and they appreciate it.
I don't think that the front door was in the grant.
Because they never said nothing about that.
So when they say that,
Yeah, I don't know, she plans like the town would buy the door,
Oh, that's
and
what I'm
put it
wondering.
in for them. They've got somebody that'll put it in. I'm not sure how to clarify
can you
that
add
with her
that
more.
over?
That, and I don't know if he would be able to until the foundation is done.
You might want to wait, huh? 'Cause it might change the how you mix up the building.
Museum. Greggy.
Very good. I'll look at that, the 2 years, and I'll get with Wayne Black, and I will send it to you and try to get it done.
Give status report from him on this.
When we do that, like I said, even if we keep it down cellar and move it, take it out of the center before, we'll see what his thoughts are. And then wire it into the panel box downstairs instead of upstairs.
I have requested reimbursement for the first 2 payments, so hopefully that'll come back soon. Highway and safety. Highway report, plowed 28 out of the last 35 days. Cut hanging trees on White Hill, Santa Mont, and Sylvan Falls Road. Cut the brush on Nickelville Hill. Rebuilt the plow frame on truck 6. Replaced the side jump hydraulic hose on truck 6, because you didn't think I figured that one out, did you? Picked up truck 5 from Frenchie's in Messina. Replaced both high and low volume oil pumps and fuel control valve. Serviced the grader. Repaired the sander chain and replaced the spinner shaft and bearings on truck 5. Took link out of cross chain and replaced the rubber wipers on truck 7 and put a new alternator on truck 6. And I know that they were out yesterday. Poor Steve, when he called me today, he goes, I am not coming tonight. I am tired. Town facilities.
Kind of slow over there, but we had an event this past weekend, and food pantry was Friday, and other than that, everything's cool.
Meeting Thursday night. Do we still
Your
leave?
Wednesday?
Yeah, do they still leave the tables up at the end?
No.
Okay. All right. Fire and rescue?
Okay, last month we had 1 call, which was a motor vehicle accident on 11B. And Tri-Town Rescue had 61 calls total, and 8 of those were in the town of Hopkinton.
61 just last month?
Yep. 8 of them were in the town of Hopkinton.
How'd your breakfast go?
Slow, very slow.
Yeah.
How'd your fishing doing?
Same thing,
Even slower.
about 20 people, which is not bad for the...
Yeah.
We definitely made some friends, because that guy that caught that fish that big and won first place. Still bragging about that.
All he could say.
Because it's a friend of Michelle's, and she was talking to her on the whatever Facebook, and picked on him all day long because he kept that fish and he kept saying, I'm gonna win, I'm gonna win. And he did.
Oh, good for him. Well, at least, at least people know you're trying.
Yep.
Yeah.
So, BHLS Health Center, you saw their minutes. Gilbert's not here, but I don't think there's anything that he was going to report on that wasn't in the minutes, so.
Paid the rent.
Yay! Groundskeeper.
Shoveling.
Is he getting sick of it?
And he fixed the toilet in the ladies' room at the town hall. He also cleaned the, I don't know, where the water fills the toilet. The things were all plugged, so he fixed those. And he fixed the bifold door here at the town office.
I noticed that. I came in one night and go, whoa!
How come you didn't get the call for that one?
Oh, and he's gonna check the light on the light pole. He did that the other day, so.
Maybe it's just tip, I don't know. It's something.
And the other groundskeeper should be ready to come back 1st of March. Okay.
When the snow's all gone.
Before we get a big blizzard.
Yeah, really.
New business, shared services between Town of Hopkinton and the Hopkinton Fire District. This is something that we do every year. And I just need you to agree to let me sign it. It's just description of cost of service. Yeah. Okay, yep. Town and the district agree to share services as follows. Description of cost of services, materials, or equipment for any undeclared emergency events. Provider's employees shall remain under full supervision and control of the provider. The parties shall remain fully responsible for their own employees for all matters, including but not limited to salary, insurance, benefits, and workers' compensation. I think we changed the wording on this. If the borrowed machinery or equipment is damaged or otherwise needs repair arising out of or in connection with the recipient's use, the recipient shall be responsible for such repairs. Terms of this agreement shall be for 1 year. Parties will endeavor to provide no less than 30 days' notice of its intent to extend the agreement. Either party may revoke this agreement, blah, blah, blah. So this is just so if the town highway crew needs something done by the fire department, then the firemen can take the equipment out and work with the men. And if there's something such as like,
The power driveway.
yeah, they plow our driveway, plow the, yeah.
No,
Oh, they don't?
I do that.
You do?
Well, I wish they would, but.
I wish
haven't
you plowed
yet.
the one on my pond then.
I keep forgetting about that one. You don't plow.
No, I don't. No, I don't. You don't.
You gotta-
So anyway, that's, and in the summer, the fire department comes over and waters the trees and the flowers and everything. So a motion to accept the shared.
Do we have to abstain from that?
Abstain from that?
Oh.
We're not
Then we can't do it until next month, because we don't have enough. Right.
I think we're considered technically employees of the district, so.
Okay, we will table that till next month. We can't do it because these
They're all on
people
the
belong in the fire department, so. Agreement to spend highway funds with the county. Again, something we sign every year. Oops, it's the wrong one. Did Steve fill this out?
Yeah, he did.
Oh, okay, so you have one first to sign?
Yep.
So, motion to sign the agreement to spend town highway funds.
Yeah.
Greg made the motion, second.
I'll second.
Steve, second. All in favor?
Right.
Aye. Holding harmless agreement with the county for 2017. This is same thing we sign every year. We just have to send in our insurance coverage, correct, Vicki? Yep. So a motion to accept the holding harmless agreement.
I'll make the motion.
Steve made a motion, second.
I'll second.
Sue, all in favor?
Yep.
Got very bored in here.
Okay, resignation of Frank Barney from the Wind Advisory Board. I need a motion to accept his resignation.
Yep.
Greg made a motion, second.
I'll second.
Sue, second, all in favor?
Aye.
A motion, okay, Carrie. A motion to appoint John Niles to the regular advisory board.
No. I think we should hold off, find somebody that can be more equal on both sides, not totally negative.
Could I say something? Past practice has been that you take the alternate and you put them into a voting position. Why the change? I mean, I'm just saying, you usually do what past practice
Yes, we do.
dictates.
We've had complaints about him in the...
Really?
Yes.
From who, could I ask?
I'm
Me.
not giving...
I'll say, he
Other
calls
than-
me all the time,
other
harasses the
than-
shit out of me. He is dead against them, and he should not be sitting on this board.
Other than Greg, we've had a couple of citizens complain too.
Leaseholders, perhaps?
What's that?
Are they leaseholders?
I'm not.
I have no idea
No,
if they're
you're
leaseholders
not.
or not, Lori, because I don't know who the leaseholders are.
Okay.
So-
That's pretty common knowledge, but that's okay.
Okay, let me rephrase that. Officially, I do not know who the leaseholders are.
Okay. Even the ones that are already at the county.
Other than those. Okay, then, if there's no motion to appoint John, I need someone to give me a name. I've exhausted my list.
What list do you go by?
What
You-
list do I
yeah,
go by?
yeah.
The names that I had.
Did you say before that you went through the phone book until you just found people?
So you started at A.
I'm just wondering
No,
if
I
that's
did
a-
not start today.
Well, I said you started at A.
Oh, yeah, I started with A and went through.
I'm just wondering if that's appropriate practice.
Well, when no one comes forward,
So you're just looking for somebody to come forward, so why don't you give it a couple of weeks? Come forward.
well, I was trying to get someone in because they do have that meeting Thursday night.
But just like you don't want somebody who's like completely against them, I mean, you shouldn't be putting somebody who's completely for them too.
No, that's
Somebody
what I
who
said.
can be neutral.
Somebody that can do both sides.
Right.
He cannot.
And I do, when I asked them to serve, I did not ask them if they were pro or anti.
Yeah. You can still have somebody who's pro or against and can still, you know,
It's
be
one vote,
neutral
yeah.
in a,
It's one vote.
in a setting. I'm just thinking that it doesn't seem to me to be appropriate just to randomly pick people. That maybe you should ask, you know, each member to come up with like 5 names or something, or I don't know, just randomly going through
How
a
many
phone
emails
book.
have you guys got from me asking for names? Thank
Okay,
you.
so ask other people for names.
There are people
I
who
can maybe come
volunteer
up with
for
some
that.
names for you, if you want to give me a week.
Send me the names.
Okay. All right.
So we will table that until next month. Battery backup for phone system and computers in the municipal building. Vicki, was I supposed to do something on that?
Yeah, well, at this board, we had issues with the phone system, and they sent out a rep, which I was not happy with his service. I just told him that it worked before he came, and I wanted it to work the way it worked when he left. And he just couldn't seem to do that. So I had to contact the copier people and have them change the fax string on the copier, because he said it was picking up too soon, and I kept saying, but it worked fine, and now it doesn't work. Anyways, he said we should have a battery backup on the system, plus with our computers, because when we lose power, everything just goes, there's no slow shutdown. This would keep it going for a couple hours, and then when the battery dies, at least it's a slow shutdown. It's not just up like that. So he gave me one. I found it. He found it on Amazon for $233, and we can install it ourselves. We don't have to have him install it. But I found it on Quill for $195. So
And that's for all the whole building?
it'll go in the mechanical room, and the phone system will plug into it, and we can also plug the network into it, so the computers will be.
Now, will that also work the security system?
Yes. Anything we can plug into the back of it, it will run.
Because right now, at the power that we don't have no
That's correct. Power goes out, you don't
phones or
have
nothing.
nothing. No phones
Just when the power goes out, we'll have to have the
for an
phone.
hour, 2 hours.
So if if they're in court here and the power goes out, he can still do his job here
Yeah,
as
he
well.
won't have any lights.
Although
He'll have emergency lights,
emergency lighting.
but he won't have any. But the computer, the wireless should work, or whatever, the network will work, because the network will be into the back of the battery back up.
I'll make the motion to get the battery back up.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Right.
Okay, Vicki, you will take care of ordering that? And we can charge
And I'll
the,
get it installed. I seem to know somebody that can do that
they
for
can
us.
do that? We can charge the building account for that.
Mm-hmm.
And also, we did get the bill reduced.
Yes. Because I spoke to, they sent us a bill for over $200, and I'm like, this is ridiculous. We haven't even been here a year, and it's not working. So,
Speaking of that, did Mr. McGinn?
he sent a guy. He dropped off 2 signposts and 1 handicap sign. So we still need another sign. He says, well, we need 2 signs. They only sent 1. And he said something about, I said, well, what about the pipes, insulating of the pipes? And he says, well, I'll be doing that, so I guess I need to see what you're talking about. So I showed him, and he kind of measured in his head about how much insulation he was going to need for it. And he's never come back.
Was that Mr. McGinn or Jonathan?
No, it was not either one of them.
Oh, not either one?
No.
Okay.
No. It's one of the workers. He said it would probably be him doing it.
All right, I'll contact them again and see what the status is. Okay. Agreement for the St. Regis Falls Adult Center for 2017. We put that in the budget for the $750. So a motion for me to sign the agreement.
Yep.
Greg made the motion, second.
Yep.
Sue seconds, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay. You have all the originals, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, I do.
Any other?
Yep.
Okay.
Mary Converse did not come in and sign her oath of office for historian. I emailed her on January 9th. I told her that she was appointed and she had 30 days to come in. I emailed her on the 11th and I'm not seeing her, so that now is vacant. So you'll have to contact her and ask her if she's interested, and if she is, the board will have to reappoint her. Cindy Niles did come in and do her deputy historian, so.
Okay. Anything else?
I'm going to purchase bulletin board
Oh, how
for
did you
that
miss that one?
side entry, because we have no place for anybody to hang, like, you know, if there's an event, like your fishing derby, there's no place to hang anything like that, and that side entry is used the majority of the time. So I found one on, let's see, where did I, Amazon actually, for $37.
We can't just nail it into the deed.
No.
It's really visible.
Is there
I'll make
room out there?
Yeah, 3 by 5, it'll be on that wall. I measured it out.
Okay.
It'll be about the same size as the one by my window, only not enclosed, just
Not
a
enclosed,
space straightforward.
Just so we can just
Yep.
put various notices
Yep.
out there. Okay. Steve made a motion to purchase the bulletin board. Second.
I'll second.
Sue seconds. All in favor?
Yep.
Okay. Anything else, Miss? No, I'm done. Okay. Anything more from the audience?
Who's left on the Wind Advisory Board now that there's 2 people out? Who's left?
There's only one person.
Okay, Frank resigned and John won't be the alternate, so who'll take his place?
No, John is still the alternate.
Okay, so he
What
will
good
be
does that do?
at the
He's an
next
alternate,
Wind
so he won't be
Advisory
here.
meeting?
What was that?
He will be at the next Wind Advisory meeting?
We'll be there.
Okay, so, oh, I thought something else was.
No, we're not removing him as an alternate. We just have concerns about moving him on as a full-time advisory board member. So there's Dick Powers, who was the vice chair, who's now the chair. Mary Jane Toomey, who's the secretary. Steve Hopkins is still on, and Jody Wenzel. So we have the...
So you're looking for a replacement for Frank?
Yes.
The problem is, though, he's been at least part of this. Now you get somebody new, they're gonna have to get up to speed, you know, that's why the past practice of moving that person up made a lot of sense, because at least he's been there.
But would you be happy if we put somebody in it that was totally for it and didn't want to listen to any negative at all?
We think he's
Some people think that that's already happened, but.
Yeah. And what's the point of being an alternate if he's never going to be on the
The board
actual
did not
board?
make a motion to appoint him. We will wait for names to come forth. And
See,
we'll
we
go from
think
there.
he's bringing up some things that some people find objectionable.
How did he
Like-
become an alternate then?
Like ice throw, like setbacks. There's a reason we're looking for setbacks of 1 mile. And that they went for 3,500 feet, and then someone objected between one meeting and the other, and they reduced it from 3,500 to 2,500. That's
Because
the kind of
somebody's
thing
being
that
told.
is that's endangering. That's
No,
endangering
I
people's
can tell you,
health
no one on
and
the
safety.
board has told
I
you.
didn't say it was
And I
necessarily
can
the
tell-
board.
And I can tell you that that is one of the concerns that the attorney and both the planning board have flagged, is the amount of the setback. Because they said that is a flag for New York State. So, I'm just going by what 2 attorneys and the planning board told me. So,
Later, if you could email me that attorney that you contacted, that would be great too.
and I do not have his contact information,
No, but you must have, if you,
A name?
all going through Roger Linden.
okay, but he's your attorney, so you could ask for it and get it. I'd just like to know who it is. I mean, that should be
Motion to
public information.
Is it a Avangrid
Okay.
attorney by any chance?
No, it is not Avangrid's attorney. Greg made the motion, Steve seconded, all in favor?
Apparently that's a bad question.
I will get you the information, Lori.
You will?
I will get you the
Thank
information
you.
when I...
You want to just pass it down the line, or how do you want to-
Yeah. Talk with Clara.